Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Hello.
I believe that we are back.
I believe that we are back too.
Incredible.
I know it's been a little bit. We took a break over the summer.
I haven't done this in a while.
And no, it's been fun. It's been fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to be back. It's exciting. It's exciting.
It is. It is.
And we're
Welcome
starting
back
off
to
with
Jumpcut.
Yeah, I know. We're starting off with a hate episode too.
Oh yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, you might notice our production value. It's up. Yo,
Yeah, look,
two
I have
cameras.
a camera. I have a camera right here.
And I have a
Hello,
camera. Hello, everyone.
I'm doing the lumberjack symbol. So hello.
Never mind. So yeah, today we are talking about the Deadpool trilogy.
Yes, and
I'm
specifically
very
the
excited.
last one. I don't even know where you want to start with this. Like, do we want to start with like how much of the first one? Like, I read your review, lightning in a bottle for that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the first Deadpool
Yeah,
movie.
great.
The first Deadpool movie is crude. It's exactly what you would want from a Deadpool movie. It's very, it has its own identity, which I think
absolutely.
is its biggest plus. And it feels like a line graph of every time Ryan Reynolds appears as Deadpool, it gets less and less Deadpool and more Ryan Reynolds or more and more corporate, you know?
Yeah, so I think big thing. So Ryan Reynolds very much for a while was not an A-list actor, but he was like a A-list adjacent actor in the sense that he knew what he was good at. He was good at comedies. He was good at witty humor, but he really didn't find his role. Like, he tried doing serious roles here and there, and they just weren't for him. And he got casted as Deadpool, and he was like in was X2, and it was horrible
sewed his
version.
mouth shut.
Yeah. So does Mouth Shut. Horrible version of Deadpool. And they ended up obviously mimicking that, and everything about that first Deadpool really is a lightning in the bottle, like you said on your review, because think about it. Like, you have this character who is very much from the comics, very much like this person that is supposed to take this not seriously. And at the time, we were seeing so many serious movies about superheroes,
Like
but
Dark
everything.
Knight effect
Yeah,
of-
like it was like that Dark Knight effect of like how serious movies need to be.
Yeah.
You had the Justice League at the time. You had all these movies that were so serious, and then you get Deadpool out of nowhere, and it's like you have a character who is witty, funny, out of the blue, fourth wall breaking, cussing, breaking limbs. You didn't really see that before. And the first one is funny also because it's a what do they call those origin story for Deadpool.
Yeah.
It brought this character to life. And yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely say first one is I don't want to say perfect because I feel like that's it's what's perfect.
Yeah.
But it's definitely I can't imagine a better Deadpool movie than the first Deadpool.
I agree.
I
absolutely
don't
agree.
think it can be made.
It was. I think the reason it's so good too is it kind of feels like it's pulled out of the comics. And like these new ones feel like they're pulled out of a corporate.
Yeah, it felt very, especially the third one felt very Kevin Feige sort of, like it's, I don't know. I feel crazy. I feel insane. Every single person that I talk to about Deadpool and Wolverine is like, oh, it's the best. It's so good.
The MCU is back.
We're
the
so
MCU is back.
No,
It's not.
Like, explain to me how this was any different than any other MCU slop film that has come out in the past. It's just cameos. You were stoked when Johnny Storm came out. That's fine.
Yeah.
If that's what you want in a movie, is just like to remember other movies. Like, sure, but this can't stand on its own.
No,
at all.
So I think that's what I think that Deadpool 1 stands on its own because it is legitimately it's its own movie. It's self-contained.
Yeah.
Like, you have a character that needs to he had cancer, right? Was that his thing?
Yeah,
And he wants to
cancer.
survive cancer, then he gets back from that, and then after the cancer he gets his whole treatment done. He wants to get revenge on the person that stole his girlfriend, like try to kidnap her. And then you have this witty humor about like how you have Cable in there. You have that Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Yeah, Warhead.
Yeah.
And you got these two characters that are really bantering so well with Ryan Reynolds, and you have T.J. Miller in that too, and he's fantastic. They provided such a back and forth humor, and then you get this beginning, middle, and end, and then we go into the two. We haven't even talked about the second one, which is another. I think that one in a lot more ways is less MCU, but more like we're trying to recapture lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. it's not as bad as the third one, but
No.
it's not as good as the first one.
Yeah. I think that that one is like, oh, we have a bigger budget, we can do more things, we have bigger like set pieces, we have Domino now, we have Thanos, whatever, not Thanos, but not Cable either. What's his name? Juggernaut. What's the guy's name that plays Thanos? Josh Brolin plays
the time traveler guy.
Yeah, time traveler guy.
Whatever his name was.
Yeah. And then you get these two characters and you get time travel. It's fun. It's like humorous. Unmemorable. I don't remember anything. I remember him I can remember so many things about the first Deadpool. Him punching what's his Cable? No, not Cable. What's the guy's name that's made of steel? Is that Cable?
Juggernaut.
That Juggernaut. Yeah, he punches that guy, breaks his wrist open. You got him snapping his neck back and forth. You got him like getting out of handcuffs. You have the baby arms, baby legs. Like I remember stuff about the first one. I don't remember almost anything about the second one.
No, I think the first one succeeded because they knew they had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the second one, there was a sense of like, it felt safer in a sense where like Deadpool 1, they were throwing everything that they had at it just because worst case scenario, it sucks like all the other Fox films. You know.
Yeah.
So they were willing to take risks. It feels like
absolutely.
Whereas the second one felt very safe, felt very like, oh, we'll just, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to even like articulate how the second one is because it's kind of like a nothing burger. It's kind of like
It's literally there. It exists, I think, because of money reasons. They were like, oh my god, Deadpool 1 is like the third highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Like we love it so much. It's so good. Deadpool is an amazing character. It brought Deadpool much more into the limelight. Given Deadpool was already like a niche like what do they call those trying to think of cult character.
Yeah.
Like everyone loved Deadpool from the comics. They loved Deadpool versus the Deadpool versus Marvel, which is a really good comic series of him killing every character. And I think that's a very good series. And then like you have all this time and like in between it, and then we come to the third one. And so me and Andy have a very similar reviews. I think I gave it 1.5. I think you gave it 2 stars, something like that.
Deadpool 3. No, I gave it 1.5.
1.5. Yeah. And so I went into that movie alone. I didn't bring my girlfriend this time, but I went into it alone and I watched it and I was like, everyone around me in the theater was laughing their butt off, and I was like,
it's, don't get me wrong, there's funny moments in the same way that like, I don't know, like Step Brothers has funny moments, but Step Brothers as a film is so fundamentally broken because it cares more about one-off jokes than an actual comprehensive story. Deadpool 3 has a very similar issue where they're just like focusing so hard on funny, quippy jokes that they're not focused on the overall story, or even like when you're creating a movie, the only thing that you should care about as a writer is, what am I trying to communicate to someone else?
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. That's all you need.
No.
Deadpool 3, what are you trying to do? You know?
So the whole plot point is, so for those who haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, Deadpool 3, whatever, is you got Deadpool who becomes this character of like, what do they call a core? Not, he wasn't the core character. Anchor being the Wolverine of Fox was the anchor being, which I didn't even know they were in the same universe. Whatever.
It's dumb.
Literally, there's like whatever, and you get so let's say you never watched Loki and you're just a Deadpool fan. You get introduced to the whatever that
the TVA.
TVA.
Yeah.
And given as someone who's watched Loki, I'm like, okay, whatever. People that have not seen, literally 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours worth of television, 3 other movies.
Yeah.
What are they coming into?
Let's run through this. What do you have to watch to understand Deadpool 3? You have to watch Logan. You have to watch all two seasons of Loki. You have to watch all the X-Men movies.
All the Deadpool movies.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
There's like 2 different Fantastic Four movies that you have to figure out which one you like.
Yeah.
It's asking
you have
too
to
much.
Understand also Blade, Elektra.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You have to know that they canceled that one movie.
Of Gambit?
Yeah, you have to like know that there was a Gambit movie in the works that they canceled in like 2011.
Yeah.
It's
just like
that's not a movie. That's targeting people on Twitter who are chronically online and are like, "Yo, I remember when they did that." Like have you seen South Park?
Yeah, I've seen South Park.
South Park has a really, really good thing that they call member berries. They have it in season 20 where they're talking about South Park is talking about how Star Wars is just reminding people of what they love, and they call it member berries in like a funny way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember TIE Fighters. I remember. That's all this movie is just like, hey,
member berries. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Logan?
When Logan died. Logan died. Do you remember that?
Do you remember like how Wolverine was short?
It's I've seen discourse on Twitter, because I'm also chronically online and on Twitter, about how people waited 12 years to see Wolverine in his iconic costume with a mask. Brother, what?
Yeah.
Like if that's the argument you want to make on why Deadpool 3 was great because Wolverine wore a costume, that's fine. I think it's a dumb argument, but like you can make that.
So the reason that I think that me and you dislike it so much is that everyone is talking about what makes this movie good, and so all this discourse I see online, like I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on Reddit for it, and I see it a lot on Reddit, and I also see it a lot on I'm on Film Instagram, and I'm also chronically on Letterboxd, horribly on Letterboxd, and so I follow a couple of people on Letterboxd that are like professional movie reviewers, and like they're nerds as well, and the ones that are super big nerds are reviewing this movie like they love it. They're like, oh my god, all the cameos. And it's like, I think this idea, because I do the same thing with Star Wars, I get blinded by nostalgia. I get blinded by this idea of, oh my god, I remember that. I get reminded by member berries, like this idea that like, oh my god, I love that one thing about that one thing that's gonna make me like it more. And I truly do have that happen to me with Star Wars all the time. I it's like a lot of people like I'll talk about how I like a lot of parts of Star Wars that are very much hated because of how much I think I truly am blinded by nostalgia. And so like I go start on the point. People are loving the Gambit cameo. People are loving the Blade cameo, but they're not talking about the movie itself. Like with the movie itself, you break it down to a core. You have Deadpool needs to get Logan, a certain version of Logan that's a failure, to then kill. All of a sudden, they get they need to be a new anchor being, but then they need to become into the void to then go.
The fact that you're struggling to come up with a log line is exactly what.
Like then they need to go to that one Cassandra lady, but then the Cassandra lady kicks them out, and they're like, okay, we're fine. But then the other guy, like the TVA agent, starts coming back, and then the lady again is like, she solves them, she sends them to there, and then all of a sudden she's back again, and then they solve, and then they save their universe.
Like the movie makes no sense.
Like that's what it is.
It doesn't stand on its own. It
No,
doesn't
not
make
at
any
all.
Sense. Like my girlfriend, I showed her the first Deadpool movie. When was it? Over the summer, right?
Yeah.
She has never seen Logan. She has never seen Fox, any of the Fox movies. She hasn't seen Blade. Every single cameo in this movie would completely go over her head. And she wanted to see it in theaters, and I saw it before her. And I was like, ooh, I really don't think it's going to be enjoyable, just simply based off the fact that there's no movie there. It's kind of like every other cameo slop fest that Marvel does. It's no different. It has Kevin Feige's fingerprints all over it, and it's not a Deadpool movie.
It's so funny
Marvel
because
movie.
I actually do genuinely enjoy a lot of the MCU prior to the end of Phase 3. Yeah, I genuinely do enjoy it, and I think Kevin Feige is a genius. Like I think that man, like he was so smart in terms of what he wanted to create in terms of first time ever been really truthfully being done a cinematic universe. He wanted to create something that was cohesive between movies, and sure, you didn't need to watch other movies to see it, but it'd be much more enjoyable if you watched all the movies prior.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's why it's good. It's not necessary. Like you can watch Infinity War without seeing anything else and still genuinely have a good time.
Absolutely.
You can't watch Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania, any of the TV shows, Deadpool and Wolverine, without seeing something beforehand and still enjoying it. Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like I can comfortably say that like I have not watched any of the TV shows after Loki season 1. I'm not. Like I haven't. I tried watching a couple, and I just they're boring. They're bad. I think the production quality is dramatically faltered and decreased. And so now we got this idea that everyone is loving this Deadpool movie because it's different, it's funny, it's witty. Yes, it is different. I won't deny that. It is different. It's an R-rated MCU movie. That's what's different about
Yeah,
it.
like-
That is legitimately the only thing that I can truly pinpoint to be different.
Yes. My least favorite form of comedy on the planet is self-aware, sort of look what I'm doing comedy, and this it doesn't make sense that Deadpool 3 makes probably 600 jabs at Disney and the MCU and Kevin Feige and makes fun of it all of the time, being like, "Oh, it's a rough time for me to come into the MCU. Y'all kind of at a downslope or something." And it's like, hey, viewers, listeners, you're listening to Jumpcut. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I'm telling you what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm self-aware. This is the funniest joke on the planet. Like,
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
like, what is that?
Like what are you doing? Like it's lazy writing, and I know it's partially. It was I saw the so one thing I always think is really funny is this is something that kind of maybe a hot take. I think films written by writer room studios have a much stronger time, so much harder time to being a cohesive film because there's so many minds. It's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So this movie came on, and in the opening credits, I see 5 different writers, and I was like, huh, that's weird. Like 5 whole different credited writers. Yes, there's a lot of times when you're writing a movie like that, any movie has, you have friends that critique it, other people that are co-writing it, whatever. But you don't typically have 5 co-writers.
Yeah.
Like, and I opened that and I see that, I was like, all right, cool.
I think the most I've seen in a successful movie is like 2 co-writers.
Yeah, like
And I'm thinking of the Daniels from.
Yeah, Daniel and
Yeah.
Dan, but that's like because they're also like the same person. Like it's like I think of like Noah Baumbach and Wes Anderson, or
Yeah.
Wes Anderson and another co-writer like Roman Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wes Anderson collaborates with one other person that shares his mindset. This person's like, it was written by Ryan Reynolds, it was written by Kevin Feige, 3 other writers, and probably a whole writers room of Disney executives.
Oh yeah, it feels like it has executive fingerprints all over it.
And the worst part about that is this was successful.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I think that it was successful to the point that it doesn't send a message that is correct to an audience, because everyone's like, oh my god, they love the cameos, they love them. I don't even know the next MCU movie that's coming out. I genuinely don't.
I don't either.
I don't. I used to know this on top of my head, but like I know that Agatha show was coming out soon because I was at.
Oh yeah.
I saw a YouTube ad for it. But whatever. It's like this idea. So okay, I want to talk a couple of points. So we talked about this a second. It's like I said, maybe I'm too critical, but man, this didn't do what it was meant out to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to make fun of itself. It was supposed to make fun of the MCU and create a more unique story within that narrative. Have fun with Wolverine, and then added the cameos when available and necessary. Instead, we got a lazy cast grab of a film that didn't play with the characters in any good light whatsoever, but rather made a mockery of them. The cameo excessiveness was lazy at best. Even Wolverine felt too cynical to a point where it wasn't even fun. The fight sequences and choreography were excellent, sure. That's something I always gotta attest. The fight sequences, the choreography done by the MCU studios and done by, I don't know the stunt coordinator name, but they are great. They do a good job. I can never deny that. I think that stunts get very much underappreciated. This movie's stunts, great.
Oh, absolutely.
The choreography is excellent, top notch, really good on them, but everything else was so watered down to make it simply downright boring. Mm-hmm. I was bored in this
me
movie.
too. I
was watching it and I was like, the person watching us on the video, no, I'm just moving my hands up. I'm just like,
Yeah. I also I think one of my other biggest complaints is just CGI. That'll always be a huge complaint. The CGI looked all right at best and disgusting at worst. I think, like, spoiler territory, at the end when Deadpool is fighting all of the other Deadpools, okay, they look so bad. The baby CGI,
the floating head with Nathan Fillion voicing him, CGI.
It is so, and it's not like Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest are some of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, we've talked about it, yeah.
Barbossa is an incredible CGI model when he's in skeleton form. And Davy Jones is one of the best CGI projects I've ever seen. That was like, what, 2000
I
whatever?
would attest to this. Smeagol. Smeagol and Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
2001. A completely fake, arbitrary being.
Yeah.
Seamlessly with real people.
You're dealing with CGI artists who are either, one, burnt out from your insane production schedule, B, crunched, C, overworked, all of them. CGI has come so far since 2001.
Yeah.
Since Smeagol, since Davy Jones.
Yes.
It is so easy to not overwork people, Disney. I don't think...
Well, so
I'm going to get worked up.
A day rate of a typical editor is usually around $750, and then a CGI artist is about the same, $750 to $1,000, which is like, so people that don't know the film industry, they're like, oh my God, that's so much money. It's not. It really is not.
Try CGI or editing.
Yeah.
They're both so tedious.
So, for instance, this movie had a budget of, I think, a couple $100 million. I think it was about $150 million. I don't know the exact amount.
I can look.
But, so, a CGI artist getting paid $1,000 a day, that means that over a week they get $5,000. That is minuscule into their budget, but the thing is that they don't want to use that money. They want to use that money because Ryan Reynolds is probably demanding a $20 million paycheck.
We do need to buy Chris.
We do need to buy Chris Evans.
We do need to buy him for this movie. He is essential to the plot.
Yeah, like we need to buy Blade. We need to buy Channing Tatum. We need to buy like Hugh Jackman, who probably don't get me wrong. I actually like Hugh Jackman. I decently like Ryan Reynolds as people, but like at the end of the day, like that's what they want. They want this cameo fest, and it becomes so boring and it's so rushed because they just like, okay, we're gonna give you guys 4 weeks to do this because we are not spending more than $80,000 on our CGI budget. Like,
yeah, the budget is $250 million, which is another thing. Disney, this one's kind of an exception. Disney. I'm going on a rant. If you have a $250 million budget, how on earth do you think you will ever make a profit? That is how Wish failed. That is how Elemental failed. That is how all of these other Disney movies fail, is because you do not need a $250 million budget.
They made money, though. It's the highest growth. It made $1 billion.
This one has, yes.
Yeah.
Deadpool has,
Yeah.
and Inside Out has, but most
other
other Disney
projects,
movies, like all of the TV shows, have very similar high budgets.
Oh yeah, they've all netted a negative profit.
It's I just
Like, like a good example is the Thor movie. I think it had a budget of a couple, I think similar, and it did not make it back whatsoever. Because also one thing that Disney does is actually we don't even take into account their marketing budget, which is it's 50% of what. That's the best estimate for it is 50% of whatever your budget was. So they probably spent $125 million on budgeting this movie to advertise it, and it's like, holy crap! Like what the heck, you know?
it's
And they're not succeeding. They're not, and it's like. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because like out of all the MCU projects that happened after Endgame and Infinity War, I've only really truly liked 1.5. I've liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because I think that was very much James Gunn's project. That was very much like he was able to avoid a lot of that corporate meddling with their fingers, but still at the end of the day it's not my favorite. And then I also really liked Loki season 1 because it felt like a breath of fresh air. It was like, oh my god, it's like it's this cute little story, it's contained. And I didn't even watch Loki season 2 because I could care less. It's like, I don't know, and I watched Moon Knight. I was like, everyone's like loving it. I was like, it was mediocre. Like, I think the thing about these films is like they used to be catered towards nerds and like geeks and people that really liked nerdy movies and were really into movies, and they were still trying to create a cohesive story and make a fun movie out of it and make a good movie that was entertaining. And look at Winter Soldier, look at Civil War, look at Endgame, look at Infinity War, movies that are in very much ways stand on their own and make a good time. But now they are very much catering towards the TikTok audience, the TikTok reviewers,
the attention rate of it's
keys. Like that's what it's become.
I just think people deserve better. I think that's what makes Deadpool and Wolverine so frustrating to me, is just the fact that like we could have gotten an incredible film. $250 million for a budget, that's insane. You can literally do anything you want with that. You know,
have two iconic characters at this point. Yeah, Wolverine was iconic before Deadpool was, but the Deadpool has become iconic in a modern sense.
Yeah.
And instead, like, like we get this audience that's watching this movie, and it's so funny because like I remember walking out of the theater and I also had a very bad at the year experience at this time because I want to preface this too. So I'll get to it at another point, but I want to say how I watched this in a theater. I sat next to a family. This movie's rated R, which I saw it, by the way, at its last showing of the night.
Okay.
10:45 p.m. This mother brought 2 5-year-old twin boys to an R-rated movie, and I was so they're fidgeting, they're yelling, they were talking during the movie, they were moving up and down the seats, they were like standing up in their chair, they were talking loud. That person just rode their scooter through the hallway so fast.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Sorry. So the people that are listening to that, so there's a guy in a scooter that just rode through the hallway. But aside the point. And I watched that, and I just it made the viewing of this movie so much worse too, because I'm like, that is the audience that I can guarantee you that's the audience this is catered for too.
Which is crazy.
5-year-old kids.
Yeah.
It's not like a haha. We're catering towards, oh my God, all these nerds like are gonna love this. This is gonna be such a good movie. We're passionate about this. Yeah, like let's do it. It's not like that anymore. I can guarantee Deadpool 1 was right around. I was like, man, I want to fix what I messed up. I really want to fix that. I had such a bad time in X2. I want to make a movie that is fun and to this point of this character. And then they did it. Mm-hmm. They did it. Lightning in a bottle. And then all of a sudden you got this like cash grab of a movie that just throws poop at a wall hoping to make Picasso.
Yeah. Disney, I'm speaking directly to you. Let me take this as an advice from some 20-year-old who doesn't know anything. You cannot keep going the direction you are going because it is not sustainable. I know that big companies seem to have this stupid mindset of money now, figure it out later, instead of setting yourself up for long-term success. You cannot keep banking on the nostalgia and the member berries over and over and over and over, because guess what? So all of us are going to grow up, and a new generation is going to come in, and they're going to have nothing to connect with.
Yeah.
You know? Like Toy Story 5?
Yeah.
Who is that tailored to?
It's not. It's like, it's hard. Because, like I'm like looking. I'm so excited. So next week, DreamWorks is releasing this movie called The Wild Robot.
Dude.
Like, it's my most anticipated movie of the year.
Me too. Dude,
like,
we should see it together.
We should. Like, that'd be so much fun. Because I'm so excited for that movie. And I'm praying it's good, and I'm praying it does well.
Yeah.
Because it is unique. I'm going to pick a hypothetical situation to this point of, like, let's say this movie's good. And let's say a 7-year-old kid watches that movie. And then all of a sudden, when he's 28, or let's say he's 42, he watches that with his kid. Yeah, this is my favorite movie when I was a kid. Like, he gets to have that. No kid is gonna be like that grew up with these new MCU movies. Like, I can comfortably go and watch Spider-Man 1, 2, 3. Like, I love those movies. Mm-hmm. I can go comfortably watch the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah. I can comfortably watch The Incredibles and go to, like, if I have kids in the future, and be like, I love these movies when I was a kid. This is so nostalgic for me. Mm-hmm. I can't go and be like, Deadpool 2. Deadpool 3. That's no kid nowadays is gonna be able to do that, and I think that's a big point. Is like, you're losing this idea to cater towards an audience that is so bent on finding cameos and Easter eggs. Like, I used to love this channel on YouTube called New Rockstars. They're like, there's this unique channel that pointed out like theories, behind the scenes, cameos, Easter eggs. Now it is like their entire being is consumed by making the same video, trying to find every single little minuscule Easter egg in every single video, just to make sure that they are able to really capture what is good and what is bad. And like, it's not what the movie should be about. The movie should be about, like, itself. It should be self-contained. Look at why everyone's loving Dune 2, because it's a self-contained movie. There's no cameos in Dune 2.
Yeah, I think it's also just something to industries as a whole. Look at the game industry. Look at the film industry. Both of them. There are very few AAA game successes anymore because of greed and microtransactions. And same with big budget AAA movies with cameos and slop. The ones that are succeeding are the indie developers. You got indie games are selling way higher than any AAA game. DD is probably one of my favorite.
Oh my God, DD was so good.
DD was like on a budget of like 2 draw 2 cards in a like quarter they found on the floor. Like, there's no, like, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like,
Truly.
Dee Dee's budget was not $250 million, and because Dee Dee, the only thing that movie cared about was the story being told. They had something they wanted to give to an audience, right? They wanted to share the level of what it feels like to grow up in, hey, I know it's scary, I know it's overwhelming, I know growing up is this huge thing, and puberty is, you're hormonal, and every single emotion feels like the end of the world, right? But it's okay. That is the story of Dee Dee. Dee Dee is slow down, breathe, everything is going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
That is what you want to give. What is Deadpool 3 doing? Other than like, hey, do you remember that one movie with Gambit that we didn't make?
Yep.
How about I remind you of that Twitter fiasco?
Yeah.
From 10 years ago.
Yeah, my favorite movies of this year have been 3 movies. It's been Dune, Dee Dee, and Kneecap. So Dune, I think the reason that it's so successful is it's a very much a love project of its creator.
Yes.
It's based on a book. It's in comparison, minuscule budget terms of a AAA movie. Like I think it had a budget of around $200 million. Look up, I don't know the number of it.
Dune 2.
Dune 2, yeah. And the reason it's being loved so much is because it is very much a love project for Denis Villeneuve and the people that are in it. It's very much catered towards making the books come to life. Love it. Dee Dee, you said everything I could say about it. Nostalgia. It's like it's truly creating this nostalgia for 2008 that like I felt like I was 8 years older in that time. Given this kid is about 4 years older than me, 5 years older than me at that time, and I still had such a good time. I was like, man, like,
oh, absolutely,
I can remember that.
Dee Dee was also filled with member berries. Don't get me wrong, right? MySpace, that one website that I'm not going to say on air. Like, there's so many great member berries and callbacks and nostalgia points in Dee Dee. But what's different from Dee Dee and Deadpool is Dee Dee is a timepiece. Dee Dee is reminding you of 2004 by being set in 2004 and being like, hey, here's how it was. Here's what a typical, pretty normal, like 11-year-old boy would do.
Not
in
romanticized
2004.
at all. It's so
Not at
also
all.
I love it. So the ending of that film, like, little side spoiler, but you should go watch Dee Dee.
Watch Dee Dee.
Yeah, this little kid, he talks with this girl, and she rejects him.
Yeah.
The girl that he had a crush on, and he was okay with it because he realized he made a mistake. And I was like, God, that's good, man.
Yeah.
And then I also watched the movie. I know you haven't seen it, but it's called Kneecap.
Okay.
It's a true story about Irish rappers singing in Irish Gaelic about British oppression and the abandonment of the Irish language and how much they hate the British colonization of Northern Ireland in the modern day. And the best part about it is it was created, written, and starring the actual artists that are in it.
That's kind of
and they
cool.
were great actors, and it was so much fun. You're watching this movie, and you're like, man, it's a little romanticized in the sense that it's like they're telling their story to a hyperbolic sense, but it's so fun to see these guys like act out their life story and have fun with it and make a comedy musical awesome movie about it. And it has a low budget. It's an indie movie. It's done by a small Irish studio. It's like it's a great movie, and I think that's why I liked it so much.
What was the budget? Let's look it up.
For Kneecap?
Yeah, budget of Kneecap 2024 was that's not US dollars. It's 4.5 million of some random currency.
Probably pounds.
It's the one that looks like someone forgot how to write the letter E.
Yeah, pounds.
Pounds, okay.
Yeah.
Shout out British people.
And it's like you're like what is that? 4 out of 250, 2 out of 125, 1 out of 60 through 2.5. They're doing that on the budget of about like less than 4% of what this Deadpool movie did. Actually, not even counting marketing.
It feels very like, let's throw money at it, and the more money we put into something, the more successful it will be. The more we invest, the more we'll get out of it. And I just don't think that's the right mindset to have. I would not be upset if this will never in a million years happen, but if Disney was like, you know what, 2025, we're taking a break. No Disney movies 2025. We're going to make something when there's a reason to make something, you know? All of the Disney Golden Era films, like your Little Mermaids, your Incredibles, your Beauty and the Beast, those are so romanticized by everyone, and they're so great because they have something to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Deadpool makes me so, like, upset about. Is like, what do you... And this is just movies as a whole. My dad's favorite movie ever is The Goonies. It came out when he was a kid. I love The Goonies, right? The Goonies is so great. But I would never say that Goonies is my favorite movie. I love the Goonies because it's a great starter for one, but also I love my dad for two.
Yeah.
And it's his movie. Watching the Goonies makes me think of him every single time. It's not mine,
Yeah,
right?
that's really cute.
I have a favorite movie, right? And if I have a kid, let's say hypothetically I had like a 7-year-old right now.
Yeah.
What movies would they have that isn't just mine, you know? I can show them The Incredibles. I can show them Spider-Man 2. I can show them all of these incredible, in my opinion, 5 out of 5 films that are great. But the way I feel about Goonies is how I assume that my kid would feel about those movies.
Yeah.
Those aren't his or hers. Those are something else. What do they have? They have, like, you know,
Despicable Me 4.
they have yes, finally, Despicable Me 4. Yes, I was so worried how the cliffhanger for Despicable Me 3 was so
It was getting resolved.
Oh my gosh, finally.
Exactly.
Ah!
It's this point of contention that I think that Deadpool is a good showcase for, and I think the frustrating part to me and you is that everyone's enjoying it, and we've talked about why they're enjoying it. They're enjoying it because it's this keys.
Hey, pay attention. You're gonna upload this whole movie on TikTok clips with Subway Surfers in the bottom.
Yeah. And I think that's frustrating to us because my girlfriend's favorite movie, like you just said, is the idea. So she likes Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's her favorite movie of all time.
So good.
Such a good movie, and that is a movie that very much will be her movie. She'll show that to people around. She showed it to her mom. It's like this. It's this movie that is 2012, so not like new, but like not like old.
Yeah.
And that's become her movie. Everything All at Once will become the movie I want to show my kids. And one of the movies that I know is my nostalgia. Like I grew up with these movies like Scooby-Doo. I'm gonna show my kids if I have kids one day. Scooby-Doo. I love those movies. We've talked about them before on this podcast, and I'll show them it. And like you said, like that's the idea. Like I love The Princess Bride in the same way for my mom, my dad. I love the best one. This one example is I love Rocky. Rocky 1, Rocky 4. My dad's movies. His favorite movies of all time is Rocky 1 and Rocky 4. They're my dad's favorite movies of all time. I love them for that. I also love Gladiator for that same reason. They're in my top 200. I like watching them. I enjoy them every single time. I find so much nostalgia in them, but they're my dad's movies.
Yeah.
He grew up with them. Those are the movies that he was like, man, dang, that was a good movie. And he wanted to show me that as a kid. And I love that. And that's the thing where it's like, I really hope movies like these indie movies that are in like these big studios that are making unique things like hopefully, I'm trying not to get my expectations too high, but The Wild Robot, like hopefully, please.
I'm so cautiously optimistic about The Wild Robot. When I this is gonna be a tangent. When I saw the teaser for it, I was amped. I was so psyched. But you know what made me so much less excited?
What?
When the robot started talking.
Yes, yeah.
I wanted it to just because WALL-E. Let's talk about WALL-E. WALL-E is one of my favorite movies ever. WALL-E doesn't say a word, right?
WALL-E.
Well, yeah, like WALL-E's speech is not like he can't really convey thought vocally.
Yeah.
It is all emotional. Same with Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
So like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Like you have these characters that can express themselves and tell a story visually by their face and how they go about the world. And I feel like that people are scared to do that now. Like
I've heard though, like from the early reviewers that it talks but not a lot. Hopefully,
Okay.
I'm crossing my fingers. I'm being.
I hope
cautious.
so.
I'm being like one thing about this is I'm keeping my expectations so low.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, like I'm trying to keep my expectations so low for this because I really want it.
I
want to
love it.
I want to love it. And I have faith in DreamWorks. I do.
Yeah, DreamWorks has like a solid 50-50 ratio of having it be the best movie I've seen ever or something that I will never think about again for as long as I live. It's a coin flip, really. And I think that's what I like a lot about DreamWorks is like at least there's hope. Whereas like if Disney was like, hey, we're going to release some new movie, I wouldn't be as hopeful as I am with DreamWorks. Or even Sony Pictures. I think I'm more hopeful than Disney. Now that I've burned every possible bridge
with Disney. So look at a movie like Encanto. That's like their idea of a unique thing, but it doesn't really feel unique at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Encanto is one of the. I'm very controversial in my hatred of Encanto. But like I have no doubt they're gonna be doing an Encanto 2 in the next couple of years because they're doing Moana 2 and Moana live action and Frozen 3 and
yes. Yes. There's
I can't wait for Olaf.
There's nothing I'm more nostalgic of than Moana that came out 5 years ago or something.
Oh my god, it's that frustrating aspect where you're like, ugh, like. Yeah, sequels are fine. Some of my favorite movies are sequels. Empire Strikes Back, Two Towers. Don't get me wrong, I love sequels, but there comes to a point where there's a difference between a sequel and a cash grab. And Deadpool and Wolverine is very much a cash grab. There is no life. There's no heart. We talk about this a lot when we talk about movies we love. When we've talked about How to Train Your Dragon, when we've talked about The Goonies, when we talked about Princess Bride, when we've talked about XYZ movies that we have on our YouTube, Jumpcut, youtube.com, 107.1. We love these movies because they have a heart, and you can tell there's a care of a team behind it. Every individual person on a crew is careful. Like, those gaffers were like, man, that light doesn't look good. We need a bounce there because we want to make it look perfect. And you see it. You feel it because you understand that there is love. There is love and care in every aspect. This movie, I guarantee you, like, that gaffer was paid his day rate and went home to his or her partner and was like, man, I had a long day at work.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go as, like, absolutist as that. I think there's probably some heart from someone.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
wouldn't
saying
be able
there
to
isn't
see
no one.
where. I would blame more the studio or like the people in charge.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's producer interference or studio interference or what, but you can tell that Ryan Reynolds specifically, just because he's the only one that gets interviewed, not like I would love to interview the gaffers, but Ryan Reynolds specifically cares so much about this character and cares a lot about everything, and it seems like he either A, didn't care for this film, B, completely forgot what made Deadpool so great in the first place, or C, got completely tarnished. No, that's not the right word. Got completely demolished by some executive.
Yeah.
Or D, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
I don't know. I agree with you, though, because I am being a little more absolutist and a little more cynical about it. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I do believe that, like, there's been lacking heart in the MCU for a little bit.
100%.
And that's why I like James Gunn in the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogies, because I feel like James Gunn in a lot of ways feels like he wants to create movies that are his own. That's why I'm excited for the DCU now instead of. I really hate that they went DCU just to kind of beside the point. But beside the point, like, I can tell that James Gunn actually really does care about characters, really does care about the story he's telling, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for Superman. I'm hopeful for his new movies that he wants to come out to create a new DCU.
Yeah.
Because I understand that James Gunn is a careful person. I think that in a lot of ways he's made movies that are great, but I also think he's made a lot of movies that have been bad. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that the James Gunnification of the MCU was horrible.
Oh
The insurmountable, unavoidable butterfly effect that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 had on the MCU is horrible. But beside the point, I can still tell that he still cared about his characters in the movie that he was trying to tell. And nonetheless, I get to the point where I want to like I do like it's frustrating because I will see every new probably I'll likely see almost every new Marvel movie because I'm like, man, I do want to watch that. Like, I'm probably gonna see the new Spider-Man Home something or Blank for Home. Or
I think we should get rid of the home motif. It's not. Anyway, that's a whole nother rant for another day.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to see it. I'm probably going to go watch these movies because they keep me coming back, which is frustrating because I criticize them all the time, but they keep me coming back. And I think it's because I grew up with them. But I can totally tell, like a lot of these people, these kids, that once they grow older, like, they're going to stop caring. They're going to be like, oh, that one movie, like Thor, Love and Thunder, I don't remember it. It's like... I don't know, and I might even. Well, the thing is like a good example is like I am probably one of the biggest Star Wars nerds I ever was, and I'm no longer like I can comfortably say I'm like not really a Star Wars nerd anymore because I'm so fatigued, and I think a lot of people in the MCU are getting so fatigued. Like, I don't know. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is this idea where I watched the movie and I left like feeling tired. I felt like I left Dee Dee and I left feeling like rejuvenated, like excited. I left Kneecap, felt rejuvenated and excited to talk about that movie. Like I went to work, like I went to go get a drink at my stand at Dutch Bros, and I saw someone there and I was like, yeah, they're like, how'd you like it? I was like, man, it was all right. It was okay. It was bad. And then they're like, oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. And I'm like, I mean, it's okay. I watched the movie. It was fine. It's just, I'm tired. Like, I want to go home. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the saddest part of it all is Disney and Marvel have managed to do the unthinkable of making superheroes cool and making superheroes matter and making these fictional characters carry real life weight.
Yeah.
I think that is something that is not talked about enough, how big of an accomplishment that is. Like, superheroes before all the movies were nothing. They were made fun of. Those are for geeks, those are for losers, those are for all of these things.
Look at the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, like it's a good example. Yeah.
Big Bang Theory and Friends, and
they would make fun
of it all the time. But now they are, as funny as it is, they carry the same weight as, like, those are our modern day Greek mythology heroes. Like, like these stories carry weight, you know, they mean something. And I just want like Marvel to be more careful with it. Like I get more and more frustrated with the fact that it's they're gonna release some slop movie sometime in the next 12 months, and it's still gonna make a ton of money, and it's still gonna be probably not good. And I just want something with heart, you know? I want something with a soul. I want something with passion. I want something to be made for a reason. I don't want you to put Wolverine in a costume just so you could sell Wolverine toys.
Yeah.
That's not, like, we haven't been waiting 12 years to see him in a costume, right? I don't care about Wolverine in the costume if it's a good story. Wolverine is in a costume that we have never seen before so that you can sell toys. Spider-Man is a perfect example. There are 8 MCU Spider-Man suits across the 3 movies. That's ridiculous. That is so blatantly there to sell toys to children like me who love Spider-Man. And I think a good movie would sell and be more successful and sell more toys than a movie that is only made with the intention of buying.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And so I looked it up too. The next MCU movie is that new Captain America movie, The Brave and the Bold.
Oh yeah.
Like and like that point of it just being, and then after that, I think the Thunderbolts, which is again all characters from different movies try to make cameos in their own movie. Beside the point, I'm just like, okay, all of this is happening, and I am just whatever. Like I feel so what I didn't even see the Marvels. No. I thought that was a movie.
No.
Yeah, that was.
No
a
one
movie.
saw the Marvels.
Yeah. Example though, that's a good example. It's like no one saw it because no one cares. Like these movies used to be like the event of the summer. When you had one releasing a year or maybe 2, a May and a December, they were the events. Like I remember seeing Infinity War in a packed theater. And then I remember seeing Endgame in a bigger theater, even more packed.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is so cool. Everyone's in this. Everyone's excited. I love that feeling. That, like, yes, you're right. They made superheroes cool. No one understands how. Like, you look at a movie or a TV show like Freaks and Geeks, they are made fun of for liking comic books, like, or TV
That's
shows.
like the trope.
Yeah, it is the trope that, like, oh, nerd, like the reason that Big Bang Theory was so successful is because at the time in the late 2000s, early 2010s, superheroes were still very much like those movies, like you see in Iron Man 1 or like the X-Men movies. Those are like, only nerds watch those movies. I watch my cool movies like Rocky 8 or whatever. I'm sorry.
Rocky 12.
Yeah, it's like I watch my cool movies like that are about sports. But you know what I'm saying? It's like or I watch my mobster movies. But like now, these are the blockbusters. The blockbusters anymore, they are only superhero movies. I don't see any, like, I guess Dune was a good example of a blockbuster, like being an exception. Like the Star Wars and the MCU have become the blockbusters.
And I think to a greater extent, I think Star Wars and Marvel are the last chances we get of having a community of anything. I think in the early 2000s, the world was small, right? You didn't have the internet. You had people, they played the last episode of Seinfeld on the screens of Times Square because when you don't have everything you want all of the time, you have communities of people who care about the same thing. You would never screen the season finale of any TV show in Times Square now. And then when the internet came out, right, it was still pretty small. You didn't have, like, even up until very recently, you had communities of people who cared about things, and they were like pretty big communities of people. And now with the TikTokification of the internet and For You page and Netflix is like algorithms giving you exactly what you want before you know you want it.
Yeah.
You just spread out. The world is bigger than it has ever been now because of giving you everything you want exactly when you want it. There's no community there because every single person is different, right?
Oh, I absolutely agree.
And Star Wars and Marvel feel like the last attempt we get to have that sort of community. To like, think of Endgame. When you saw Endgame or the new Spider-Man in theaters, the amount of applause you got, or like how hype and crazy that theater experience was because there was a community of people who cared about Marvel, you know, about these heroes. And that's really special. And that's something that I hate to see go away, especially as the world just gets bigger and bigger by the day, as algorithms and AI and all of these things make all of us further apart. And I can go on and on about how awful that is for people and as for society. But the reason I care so much about Marvel and about Star Wars is because they mean something, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
This whole tangent means something because Marvel and Star Wars have the potential to give us that again.
Well, look at movies that like mean so much to us. It's like I know we kind of tantalized from like our initial starting point, but like Star Wars to me was like I grew up with it. I watched it on sick days. It was the movies that like I was like, oh man, these are my movies. Oh yes, let's go. And then they became so much more about let's make some money. Ugh. I could sell so many action figures and toys and Legos, given I love the Legos. But like that's what became. And then Marvel, like I remember like watching Spider-Man 2, watching Spider-Man 3, as much as bad as that movie is, but like I'd be like, yes, let's go. Yeah. Like I remember being like that as a kid, and I need that little web shooter. I need it because I liked Spider-Man. Nowadays, I know I go to Target for the Lego section. Don't get me wrong, but like I'll snoop through the other aisles of toys, and it's just like it is so brain rot. It is like, oh my god, like it's like maybe I'm being a doomer, like a boomer, a zoomer now, I guess, because the Gen Alpha is taking over.
Shout out Gen Alpha, thank you for that.
Yeah. But like man, it's like me, it's just like it feels so much like I need this now in front of me. Like I that's all I need. This is in front of me. It needs to be now. It needs to be in front of me. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And it's like, I don't know. It's frustrating because I do truly believe that TikTok and Instagram Reels have been a valuable like tool for entertainment, and they can express so much creativity, but they've also been so deplorable in creating an attention-deprived mindset to create this idea that, man, we need this, like, we need this keys jangling in front of us all times. We need everything in front of us all times. Where, like, I don't know. I get exhausted by movies like Deadpool and Wolverine. I get frustrated because I want to enjoy a movie that I love. Like I'm so excited for movies like Mickey 17 coming out by Bong Joon-ho. Like I'm excited for that movie. But like movies like Joker, De La Vie with Lady Gaga, I'm like not excited for. Like I'm not. Like I'm excited for Wild Robot. I'm excited for movies that like I genuinely believe will be unique, solidified, original ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think back to like, and again, I know every single generation on the planet looks at generations below them and thinks that they're doing life wrong. And I know that I'm 20 and I think I know everything, but I don't. I understand that. A lot of my best friends I've ever made comes from in 3rd grade being like, hey, did you see the new Clone Wars episode? Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's hang out, you know? How many times has someone come up to you in the past couple of years and been like, hey, have you seen blah, blah, blah? And your answer is no. Or even worse, never heard of it.
Yeah.
That's just from, like, the world is so big now. You can't have those moments. And Marvel is the last one, you know?
I work at Bath & Body Works, and I have coworkers that are nice there. Don't get me wrong.
Thanks for sponsoring us, Bath and Body.
Yeah, I don't think any of them. I quit. I don't think any of them are listening to this, obviously. But like, this sounds so mean. I don't mean to sound mean, but they talk to me. It's in my mind about so much useless. They're like, "Do you see this new trend on TikTok?" And like, I'm like, the F word? Like, what are you talking? I've gotten to the point where I just put AirPods in and listen to Lord of the Rings audiobooks because I just can't stand it, because it's at the point where like we had a Stranger Things candle release, and I, as someone who loved Stranger Things season 1, I've hated almost everything after that, especially season 4, because it became TikTokification. Like, and I truly do believe that. And I think so much of popular TV shows have done that. Like, a reason that I think The Bear and this TV show called Shogun are doing so successful is no one's talking about them at all.
Yeah.
Like I love these shows and no one is talking about them, and I think that's great. Like, and it's horrible that I think that's great. Like, I actually like The Boys despite how bad season 4 was. It was okay. It was okay. But because everyone was talking about it, and it just feels exhausting to the point where like, oh my God, everything needs to be cameos. Everything needs to be, And I know this whole conversation of talking about like TikTokification, I guess is the best word about it, is because of Deadpool and Wolverine. We that's how we started this podcast, and it's like Deadpool and Wolverine incorporates this idea that like everything needs to be given to you at all times. It means instant gratification. You need to see the movie, and like the reason that Dee Dee is so good is it's a slow burn. Like, you are, like, in a lot of ways, exhausted in the good way by Dee Dee. You are, oh my God, I am getting secondhand embarrassment by this kid, and I relate to that feeling. Deadpool, there's not a relatable sense to anything that you can relate to that character. Deadpool doesn't have any vulnerabilities, doesn't have any sense of feeling of like a failure. It comes to the point where like, oh my God, I am Deadpool. Ha! That is so funny. And
We got him!
Like,
that was hilarious.
Like, Dee Dee has funny moments because I'm like, oh man, I know that feeling, and I want more movies like that, and I'm so tired. I'm so tired of like the Deadpool and Wolverines.
I am too. To close this out, I guess I'm just gonna say, people deserve better. You know,
People deserve better.
Yeah. Anything you wanna close this out with?
Nah, I'm chilling.
It could be fun to do a like state of the movie industry TikTokification episode.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I feel like every couple of episodes we kind of like just briefly go into it, then we're like, oh wait, we're supposed to be talking about a movie. It'd be interesting.
It'd be fun. No, but hi, Andy's grandma. I'm Luke. I just want to say hi.
Hi.
You're awesome and wonderful. Thank you for supporting us.
She's gonna love that. Hi, I love you too. Yeah.
I love
Anyway, thank you all for listening. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Jumpcut107.1 or on YouTube at Jumpcut107.1 to catch up for
Or listen to us every Wednesday at
every
2
Wednesday,
p.m.
2 to 3. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh, I gotta clap.